Hello and welcome to another brand spanking new episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. Ooh, honey, if this is your first time mixing it up with the Mayhem crew, we so glad you came, honey. And just to give you just a little insight as to what you have fallen off into, you see, Melanin Mayhem brings you the stories of some of the most heinous, diabolical, and downright audacious crimes committed by some melanated baddies that you may not have heard of before. And if you have heard of them, you haven't heard the story the way I'm gonna tell it. Honey, because you see, my mission in life is to dispel this myth that just persists in the world that there are certain types of crimes that black people don't commit. Lies. Lies, I tell ya, all lies. Because, baby, we do it all. Been doing it all. And I am here spilling all the tea so that you know what you need to know to be on the lookout for the fuckery and the foolishness. And if you don't believe me, just ask any of the fine members of the Noir Nation. You see, that's my crew, my boo things. Hey, my smooker-vookas. How we doing this week? I hope that your October has been full of treats and no tricks because, baby, this year is almost over, y'all. And y'all hear it. Y'all hear that? I hear Mariah Carey in the background warming up. Me. It's almost Christmas, honey. Are y'all ready? I hope that none of you all are caught up in this foolishness with the government being shut down. But you know what? If you are, just remember, God got you. He ain't brought you this far to let you down now. And this too shall pass. Just keep the faith. I don't know who needed to hear that, but it's gonna be all good for all of us. You just wait and see. The country girl don't tell no lies, honey. And guess what? I'm gonna keep your mind otherwise occupied because, I got a good one for you today. So let's go on ahead and get to the business at hand. Now, I get it. Sometimes when you listening to these old crime stories of shenanigans done by our people that I be bringing y'all, sometimes you might be like, Nay, come on, Nay. This is a stretch. Like, okay, sure. Oh boy or oh girl, they might have did this one time, but a serial offender, a real heinous shenanigan person, repeat offenders, I think sometimes some of these, they gotta be just one-offs. It can't be happening on a scale, if you know what I'm saying. No, because you see, a few weeks ago, I brought you the story of a OG mass shooter, and today, I gotta follow up one of them hold my bill, let me show you some kind of situations. Y'all remember the Long Island Railroad killer? That wasn't just a fluke. It was just a first. And today, we gonna continue the bullshit because, baby, I got a story of foolishness and fuckery gone 2.0. Do y'all remember the Chuck E. Cheese shooter? Well, him. Okay, yeah. Well, today, I got a nigga that took all his frustrations out on his coworkers in a most vile, low down, and totally unnecessary way. I mean, it's a mass shooting that happened not too long ago. I mean, I have no recollection of ever hearing about this bullshit, so I wonder how many of y'all know the real life story that was almost an episode of Friday. Wait, just wait. It gets better. The nigga we gonna talk about today, he is the definition of a pussyfoot ass, coward ass, trifling motherfucker. Like, I'm here to tell you, there's never a good reason to take innocent people out the game. Let's just get that straight. But this nigga today, he was extra negacious in his bullshit. Y'all ain't gonna believe how he crashed the fuck out. So, without further ado, let's go on ahead and drag this trifling motherfucker from the pits of hell to drag him all up and through these mayhem pews. This week's Melanin Mayhem maker, his name is Mr. Omar Thornton, aka the Busted Budweiser Bandit. All right, we got us a nice, juicy episode today, so let's go on ahead and get into it. So, Omar Sharif Thornton was born April 25th, 1976 to Lily Judkins. Now, Mama and Daddy were not together at the time that baby Omar came into the world kicking and screaming. Y'all know that old saying, mama's baby, daddy's maybe, that bullshit? Well, the tea is that Lily had Omar at 7 months, and she went into labor early because she admitted that she had been smoking weed and smoking cigarettes throughout her entire pregnancy. Ooh, child. Okay, so you definitely not gonna be a candidate for Mother of the Year. Okay, now, Lily, she raised Omar in Windsor, Connecticut. Now pause. I didn't really realize how melanated Connecticut was. I mean, we kind of deep up in that piece. None of that is the point. Anyway, Omar, he was born and bred in the Connecticut area. And when he was around 5 years old, they say that he had been hit by a car and he was hospitalized for like a week and some change in intensive care. I mean, that car must have knocked the fuck out of him. I mean, at 5 years old, but you know what? Thankfully, he got better. Appreciate that, Black Jesus. Well, maybe not. Well, we won't get into that right now. Here's a fun fact, though. Omar was originally named Omar Sharif Kenda. I guess daddy's maybe wasn't quite sure if old girl was for the streets. And after a paternity test was performed September 16th, 1988, and Maury said, "You are the father." Oh, young Omar, he got his name legally changed to reflect the fact that daddy was down to be in the picture. Legally, all of this went down, his name being changed November 17th, 1988. I just thought that was a little fun fact because he wasn't always Omar Sharif Thornton. He started out Omar Sharif Kenda. Anyway, so the street committee, they say that Omar was a rolling stone rolling through them schools, you know what I'm saying? They say he got around, including several schools for the children that rode the shorter of the buses. You know what I'm saying? Omar would eventually just say, fuck school, and dip on out into the school of hard knocks. And life on his ass. I mean, he bounced from job to job, just like he did when he was in school. Now, it was mostly warehouse type of situations. He had a CDL, so he did a whole bunch of driving jobs too. But for one reason or another, it was always somebody else's fault why the shit was fucked up when he was told that his services was no longer needed, including when sticky ass fingers was the reason they let that ass go. It was so bad that at one of Omar's jobs, they called him a mama's boy. Oh, now, come on now. Yeah, they said that Lily would come up there to the job to fight Omar's battles for him. Y'all better stop messing with my baby. I don't play by my Omar. Sir, if you don't go have your mother sit her grown ass down somewhere, your mother is not supposed to be up at the job like your spokesperson. Ooh, I can already tell this finna be some foolishness, honey. Well, most of the jobs that he worked at, they didn't have the best of reviews about Omar and his work performance. Although there was at least one of the many that seemed to kind of like him. It was over at this company called Kim Station, and the owner, they said that Omar was a likable kid, but he had too many learning disabilities to do the job safely, so they had to let him go. I mean, they're handling chemicals. We need you to know what to do and how to do it, you know what I'm saying? And the man said that when he let Omar go, the very next day, his mother, Lily, she showed up wanting to know, why the fuck you fired my son? Jesus be offense. Ma, you was on the short bus too, huh? Well, Omar, again, bouncing job to job. He eventually goes to work for another company as a driver, and that shit lasted almost a year, like 99 to 2000. That is until Omar got caught stealing. You see, the boss had given him $245 to go fill up the tank on the truck. Omar said fuck the truck and kept the money. Also at this job, the owner said that his mama constantly was calling Omar, and every time she called, Omar would just leave. So you just saying, my mama say I gotta come home? Boy, stop it, I say. Okay, Omar, so you one of them kind of workers. Okay, so we see that Omar has a shitload of jobs, and he gets fired from them all, whether it's from attendance, tardiness, thievery, or mommy issues, He just runs the gamut, right? But there was also something else about Omar. Omar kept him a snow bunny in the clutch, you know what I'm saying? One of them old Rachel Dolezal kinds. Oh, yes, honey. A good old white woman that he could come home and complain about how the man was keeping him down. down. Oh, hotep light ass nigga. That's fine though. You look and sound like the type that we don't mind trading off to the Salt gang. Let Becky have your ass. We good over here, okay? So Omar bouncing around, that's a theme, right? Whether it's school or work or dealing with these women, this nigga was basically one of them can't get right type of niggas, all right? So he ends up getting this job at a beer company called Hartford Distributors in Manchester, Connecticut on August 3rd, 2008. Now, when he got a job in the warehouse. Now, Hartford Distributors is a union company and they are a part of the Teamsters Union. Well, Omar actually got the job, they say, because they were in contract negotiations at the time, and Hartford Distributors, they thought that the union was about to go on strike. So basically, they hired Omar to be a scab. Well, they ended up not striking, right? But they still kept Omar working in the warehouse on the third shift. And Omar, I guess he kind of liked the job, maybe. What he didn't like was working that goddamn third shift. I mean, he talked a lot of good shit about this too. And I mean, because in his heart, Omar felt that he should have been hired as a driver because he had CDL license. And of course, there was some more, shall we say, not so good parts of the job. According to his girlfriend, Christy Hanna, of the Raisin and the Potato Salad Clan peoples, she says that Omar would come home and sometimes talk to her about how some of the people that he worked with were racist. Omar said that somebody drew a picture of a man with a noose around his neck on the back of a stall in the bathroom. And he said he complained about it, but didn't nobody do nothing about it, according to Omar. Then he said he pulled a Billy Ray Valentine and overheard a conversation in the bathroom of some of them crackers talking about how they was gonna get rid of this nigga. Oh, pause. Y'all do know who Billy Ray Valentine is, right? Trading Places, Eddie Murphy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and pause this pod right now and go watch that classic, and then you come on back. Tell me what you think. Anyway, not the point. Back to the story. So Omar has the job. He kind of like it. He kind of don't. But what he really don't like, he does not want to be in his warehouse, right? No. Omar wants to be a driver. Fuck that warehouse. And he want to get out and about and be with his shit, right? So after a while, he starts asking, you know what, I'm here. How can I get transferred to be a driver? And as I said before, Hartford Distributors, it's a union company. And so there is a protocol for how and when you can move around. And in this particular instance, applying for a job and getting it in another department, it's all based on seniority. And so Omar is going to have to wait till he got the seniority to make a move. Okay, bet. So Omar waited his time, and it's about 2 years and some change when he is able to get the position that he wants. But check this shit out, because all that glitters ain't gold. I don't really think that Omar had a full grasp on how the whole union rules thing worked. I mean, he just got the job and he's working with people that have been on this job for like 30, 40, 50 years. I'm talking about long seniority, right? And Omar is the new kid on the block. And everything they do in this bitch is based on seniority. And if you have ever worked at one of them kind of jobs, you know the new person gets the worst, most fucked up of everything. I'm talking shift, vacation, off days, everything. Until you get your weight up or you quit because you just can't take this bullshit, right? Well, Omar got the shit shift. I mean, he got the shit loads. He got the shit routes. And it really wasn't a damn thing that he could do about it because seniority rules. The other drivers, they've been here umpteen years. Omar only been here 2 minutes. But he up in this bitch complaining like hell that the shit ain't fair. It's how they do things at Hartford Distributors that really fucked with him. So what they did was like they put the routes on the wall, right, for the day. And the driver with the most seniority chose the route that they wanted. And then the next driver with the next most seniority chose his route. And then so on and so forth until you get to Omar, the last driver with the least amount of seniority, who gets whatever is left. And Omar just did not like that shit at all. But my dude, that's how seniority works. But no matter how many times they tried to explain to him how seniority worked, they just couldn't get through to this nigga. Maybe they should have called his mama, told her, and let her tell Omar. I'm just saying. Well, when you add to that the fact that in this particular facility, the ages of his coworkers, I also think was a factor as well. I mean, we got Omar coming in his early 30s, right? But his colleagues are like late 40s, 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s. And you know, another thing could be that in this particular department, Omar is like the fly in the milk. Well, yeah, honey, it's pretty vanilla over here in the driver world, right? So we got a shitload of old white men that's been here forever. I mean, this is warehouse work, sweaty work. We talking all mannerisms of people with rough hand caucasticals, you know what I'm saying? So you know that there was a fair amount of cultural differences up in this piece. I would not doubt that microaggressions were abound, right? Probably, sure. I mean, we know about the fucked up drawing that Omar said was in the bathroom, and I ain't gonna even bet how greasy they was probably up in that bitch talking to Omar. One, because he was a freshman, and two, because he was the only black in this section. So I ain't gonna sit here and just say that Omar didn't have his fair share of bullshit to contend with on the job, but what I will say is, as a driver, he was out of the office environment like 90% of his day in his truck by himself. So while sure, he probably did have some asshole coworkers, but he really didn't have to be around them for like the lion's share of his shift, right? So, okay, Omar, he kind of settles into a little groove, right? Yeah, he don't like his route, he don't like the hours, he don't like this, he don't like that, but whatever. He make it do what it do because that's what we do, right? And so also, Omar has found a few extra perks, shall we say, that makes the job a bit more bearable. Oh yeah, honey, he is doing a little side hustling at the back of the truck. Wink, wink. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I'm gonna tell you what goes wrong. On August 2nd, 2010, Omar finishes his shift, but right before he clock out, one of the supervisors say, hey, you need to come in at 7 o'clock in the morning for a meeting. So instantly, Omar is like, what? What's the meeting for? What's this about? And so the supervisor, this dude named Paul, was like, shit, I don't know. They just told me to tell you needed to be in the number one more time, my dude. I mean, shit, maybe you about to get a promotion. I don't even know. Shit, Paul knew exactly why Omar was being called to the principal's office. Oh, but he wasn't finna get into none of that shit, and I don't blame him. So, later on that same evening, Omar is over at his mama's house, and his uncle Wilbert stopped by. And so, you know, they shooting the shit or whatever, and somehow the conversation turns to guns, and Omar tells his uncle that he wants to get a permit to carry his guns legally. And then Omar shows his uncles 2 guns, both of them 9mm. I mean, Omar is really into these guns. He even pulls up a video on YouTube showing his uncle how powerful his guns are and how they work and this, that, and the third. And so Uncle say Omar told him that, you know, each clip for the guns held about 17 bullets. And then he said something to the effect of like, that's 34 bullets for them guys at work. And then he kind of laughed it off. Well, you know, he's still thinking they shucking and jiving and shit, so he really don't pay Omar no attention, even though Omar really just said, I got 34 bullets for 34 asses at the job. I'm just saying. Well, the following morning, August 3rd, I guess Omar, I don't know if he, you know, just went over to his girlfriend's house or whatever, but whatever. That morning, Omar is getting up. He's starting to get dressed for work. And Christy, that's his girlfriend of the past, like 7-8 years, she say he looking kind of strange. She can't quite put her finger on what it is that's off, but she knows something off. So she keep asking Omar, baby, you all right? Everything okay? And Omar keep talking about, I'm straight, babe. Ain't nothing wrong. I'm straight. But Christy says she feel in her heart, in her bones, that something is off. Well, Omar's finished getting ready for work. He grab his phone, he grab his lunchbox, and then he go get ready to make that money. Christy say before he left out the door, he gave her a long ass hug and tongued that ass down. Something ain't right, Christy. But you know, she thinking when he get off, maybe he'll be ready to talk about it. Nah, Suge. I think Omar is done talking at this point. He about to get into the show and tell type part of this situation. I'm just saying, I'm a little foreshadowing here. So Omar drives to the warehouse. He pull in and he park. He grabs his lunchbox and then he go in the office to meet his manager for this little meeting that they done invited him to attend. Now, this meeting is taking place bright and early. We talking 7 a.m. in the morning. And at this meeting is Omar, the GM and some part of the executive leadership team, a man named Stephen Hollander. Now, Mr. Hollander, his people own the company, right? Generations. Like, that's they people shit, right? There's also a supervisor, Louis Felder, and then there's a union representative, a man named Brian Sirigliano, right? So all four are seated around the table, and now it's time to get to why we asked you to come in early on this good Tuesday morning. And you know how it go when you done fucked up, right? They start the meeting off with we want to discuss with you some troubling incidents and get your side before we proceed, okay? And then they went on to tell Omar that they had gotten a whistleblower tip that he was stealing beer off of his truck. And because they take reports of thievery seriously, they hired Aegis International to handle their lightweight and prove this shit. Aegis International, oh baby, that's a private investigator firm. And they charge good coin for their services, and they always get their man. That's when they hit Omar with the motherfucking video. Baby, this video shows in crystal clear detail that on July 16th, here we have Omar pulling into the East Windsor Strip Mall and rolling up on this white man and this white woman. Omar gets out the truck, he goes to the back, and he takes 2 kegs out the truck and gives them to this man and this woman. You can see the man hand Omar some money, they dap it up, and old boy say something to the effect like, good looking out, my G, and then Omar leave and go clock out. Now, agents ain't doing this investigation half-ass. They know where Omar going, right? They follow the car that got the keg, and the car goes to Enfield, which is like a couple of miles away, still in Connecticut, right? Come to find out, this is Christy and Sean Quayle. Sean, Christy's old man, he used to work at Hartford Distributors, and he's still cool with Omar, right? Come on now, y'all know what this is. That's the homeboy hookup. You know, we having a little something at the house and need a little something to drink on, and oh yeah, my homeboy, he still work over there. I got a hookup at the bill company. Let me hit him up, and you know, whoop de woo, and that's what the fuck just happened, right? Okay, so we got Omar stealing them folks shit off his truck and putting it in somebody's car, right? Well, a week later, on July 23rd, this nigga is back on video at that same strip mall, meeting up with them same 2 white folks yet again. But this time, Omar is on tape taking 5 cases of 30-pack Budweiser out the truck and putting them in Christy and Sean's car. Ooh, child, honey. They fixing to get it in over there at Christy and their house. They got plenty of beer. That's like 150 bottles of beer on the wall. Ooh, honey. So back at the meeting, they like, look, Omar, we know you stole 2 kegs and sold them to old girl and old dude. Then a week later, we got you lifting 5 cases of beer, still taking them to old boy and old girl, and you get paid both times. And we just can't have that. That's like $412.62 worth of work you just juiced us out of. Now, y'all, this whole time, Omar ain't said shit. He just sitting there looking blank. And so the union rep, Brian, he tell the other 2 dudes, he was like, hey, let me holler at Omar by myself for a minute, okay? And so Steven and Louis, they get up and they leave out, right? So Brian, he sit there, he talked to Omar for like 10, 15 minutes. And when he done, he step out into the hall and he like telling Steven and Louis that, you know, Omar really ain't have shit to say other than the fact that he was, quote, impressed with the quality of the video, end quote. If that ain't some nigga shit, that was a real good video they got on me. Nigga, I cannot. But you know what? They come back in the room and they sit back down and they like, you know what, Omar? Everybody make mistakes. So here what we're going to do. You can resign and get the hell on and don't try to go get no unemployment or nothing like that and we'll call it even, right? Or we can get into some gangster shit, fire your thieving, sticky finger side hustling ass, and you still ain't gonna get no unemployment, and we may be inclined to let the popo get our lit back. So, what you want to do, player? And so Omar, he kind of look around and then, you know, he say, well, if I resign and I put y'all down as a reference, what y'all gonna say? Nigga, are you serious? So they looking at him the same way and they like, look, the only thing that we do is verify the dates of employment and the position that was held. We not gonna tell them that you's a thief and thiever that thieves, right? And so Omar was like, okay, well, if that's the case, I'll resign. And so they whip out some paperwork for him to sign, and Omar signs it. And then they tell him that his last paycheck is going to be mailed to him. Ain't no need for you to come back over this way for nothing, okay? Now, mind you, this entire time, Omar is chill as a motherfucker. He ain't angry. He ain't aggressive. He ain't defensive. Like, dude is truly acting like how you act when you know you got caught fair and square. Like, just cool as a cucumber. So it seems like he is just going along with the flow or whatever. There's nothing to see here. I mean, people get fired every day. It looked like Omar just trying to figure out what his next move gonna be, right? Wrong. This is where the bullshit come in. So the meeting is over, and they get ready to walk Omar out. They get his badge, and as they walking, making that HR small talk, Omar say he need to stop by the break room. He need to grab his lunchbox, and he need a, drink of water. Throw it a little parched or whatever. And so the kitchen, the break room, it's on the way out the door. And it really don't take 3 grown men to escort Omar to get a cool drink of water. So the union rep, Brian, and GM, the man who people own the company, Steven, them two, they keep on walking down the hall. And the supervisor, Lewis, he's going to follow Omar to the break room. So Omar go in and he grab his lunchbox, and then he walk over to like where the water cooler is. He set his lunchbox down and he open it. Now his back is to Lewis, the supervisor. And Lewis really ain't tripping, I'm sure this man is thinking about all of the shit he got to do this morning. I mean, he's there with Omar, but he's not really there with Omar, baby. The next thing he know, Omar turn around and he got that Peace Be Still in his hand, and he lit loose like pop pop. And Supervisor Lewis Felder is now eating the bread of heaven in heaven. Damn. Omar shot that man in the left side of his head and once in the back of his neck that came out the left corner of his mouth. Ooh, my good googly muggly. That's a lot, sir. And so we know that Steven and Brian, they was in the hallway when they heard Lewis begging Omar not to shoot. And so their inner white man comes out, and instead of running away, they came back to investigate what the fuck is all this popping. And they found out quick, fast, and in a hurry what all that popping was. Omar walk out the kitchen and into the hallway, just letting that thing fly. First, he shoot at the head honcho, Steven. Steven is hit too. 2 shots. One in his arm, the other in his face. It like grazed his jaw. Steven fell to the ground, but he ain't dead. Baby, Steven got a praying grandmother, honey, on the main line with white Jesus. And he is just laying there stunned. Stunned, but he's quietly stunned. Baby, he is playing possum, honey. So while he laying there, playing dead, Omar turned his gun on Brian, the union rep, and he put 2 slugs in Brian. Now, Brian grandmama must have been playing canasta or something, because Brian is sent straight to the upper room. Although she could have had Jesus on the main line, but baby, 2 shots to the dome is 2 shots to the dome. Ain't too many gonna survive that one, you know what I'm saying? So we ain't gonna say grandma went on the main line. So at this point, we got 3 men shot. 2 of them gone on to glory, and 1 of them putting in an Oscar-winning performance of a dead man. So Omar leaves them where they lay, but rather than leave the premises, he decides to continue on since he still has some more bullets. Now it seems to me Omar got some people he want to say bye to before he dip out, but they don't understand that Omar's goodbye, it's a permanent one, honey. So now Omar is headed to the warehouse. He got his 9mm in his hand, and he about to go fuck up a whole lot of people's world. Next, he in the warehouse, right? The first person he run into is a man named Douglas Scrunton. Now, Douglas don't know what's going on. He driving a forklift, minding the business that paid him literally. Omar shoots this man in the back of the head, and baby, next thing he know, he on the stairway to heaven. Now, he loses control of the forklift that he was driving. It crashes into a wall, and it hits a goddamn electrical panel. And then that shit just burst into flames. Like, god damn. Not only is this man shot, but now he finna be flame grilled. Ooh, that's some nasty work right there. But Omar, he's not done, baby. 2 more dudes in the wrong place at the wrong time. Man named Victor James and a dude named Craig Peplin. Now they trying to see what the fuck is going on with the forklift. I mean, they just see that goddamn, the forklift is over here and there's fire and there's sparks. Like, what the fuck is going on? Baby, Victor catch 2 in the back that came out his front, and then Craig gets shot in the left side of his back, and the bullet come out his neck. God damn, this nigga is deadly with this motherfucking 9mm. But by now, there is a fair amount of yelling and screaming and shots that are happening. And so the remaining workers in the warehouse, they know that some shit is going down and they trying to get the hell out of Dodge. There's this dude named Francis Fazio. Oh, Francis saw what went down with Victor and Craig and immediately started running, trying to get the fuck out of the warehouse, right? But Omar saw him and started chasing him. Now, Francis, he runs over to this trash compactor type of thing where this other man was working, dude named William Ackerman. Now, William minding his business, he don't know what's going on because apparently William was far enough away that he didn't hear the gunfire or the yelling. He just saw Francis running at top speed like he was auditioning for the Jamaican relay team. It didn't occur to him to run. That's how I know he wasn't melanated. Y'all know when we see somebody running, we get to running too. We ain't got to know what we running for. We see somebody coming knees to chest at us, we breaking out. Period, point blank. Or as my nephew say, on God. Well, I guess William, again, not knowing what's going on, I think he tried to ask Francis, like, what's wrong? What the hell is going on? And Francis paused to relay the message that he needed to run. Again, this is white folks communicating. You know, black folks, eye contact and the run. No, what's understood ain't got to be said. But, you know, whatever it was, they needed to pause for like a second and try to communicate that there's real danger here. But it was too late at this point because at this point, Omar has hawked down Francis. And so he puts two in Francis right then and there. One in his shoulder, one in the back that severed his spine and ended up in his mouth. Ooh, shit. And William, oh goddamn, William, who didn't know what the fuck was going on, he got 3 brand new holes introduced to his body. And it was fucked up too. Like one bullet went to the back of his head and it lodged in his brain. The second bullet went up the back of his head into his brain. And then the third bullet went through his shoulder and lodged in his right cheek. Like goddamn, woo, shit, woo. Good God, this motherfucker is not playing the radio with these kill shots. Now, Francis and William, they out of here. They touching the hem of Jesus' garment at this point. And at this point, y'all know my mind crazy, but I wonder, y'all think William cussed Francis out at the pearly gates? Like, motherfucker, you could run in another direction? Why the fuck you brought trouble over here in my section? I mean, that's some shit I would have did. I'm happy to see my Lord and Savior, but pissed because another motherfucker got me sent home early. I'm just saying. Okay, back to Omar. Because he still got smoke. He's still laying folks down. After he leave from where he dropped William and Francis, he goes into the break room and he catches this man named Edwin Kennison slipping. He put a slug in Edwin's shoulder, but Edwin quickly recovers and runs out the door. He getting it, knees to chest. Boy, he is getting it, but Omar is on that ass. And in the midst of him trying to hawk Edwin down, this man on a golf cart, dude named Jerome Rosenstein, he just so happened to be riding by time. Hey, now peep this. Yeah, the name Jerome, it sounds melanated as fuck. But Rosenstein is most definitely not of the Wakandians. So I'm sure the scene did not make sense to white man Jerome. Why is this man's knees to chest like this? Why is this other man chasing him? So Jerome did what Flower Rangers do. He yells at Omar, "Hey buddy, what are you doing? Stop that." And then Omar put some lead in Jerome's ass. Literally, he shot Jerome 3 times. 2 in his left arm and 1 in his left butt cheek that went up through his stomach. Now Jerome is down and Omar is still running behind Edwin, which is amazing because Edwin is still getting his Forrest Gump on. Jerome ain't dead. He's fucked up, but he ain't dead. Edwin trying to get away. But Edwin did some white shit. He got tripped up by his feet and he falls right by the entrance to the main lobby. He down and Omar roll up on him. Now Edwin is crawling, trying to get away, pleading for his life. But Omar ain't trying to hear none of that shit. He shoots Edwin 2 more times. Once in the back and once in the back of his head. Now goddamn it, even Edwin is communing with the Lord. Ooh, now by now, the whole fucking plant know that there's an active shooter type of situation going on. Somebody has seen Omar shoot Edwin, and so they yelling at Omar from a distance. They hot-footing it away to get out the line of fire. Now, please understand, but people have seen, word is spread, and by now, several calls have come into 911 that Omar is over here setting it the fuck off, right? Well, Omar don't want to be outside no more, so he go back into the building. He's still feeling some kind of way, so he head to the office area. Maybe it's still somebody on his shit list that he need to have a little chat with before he go. Well, this is what I know. When he gets to the office, he runs into this lady that works in the office. Now, this is how I know that Omar had a specific list of people in his head that he wanted to clock out permanently, right? Oh, because how do I know that? Because when he gets into the office and that lady is there, the lady suffers from MS, multiple sclerosis, and Omar does not shoot her. She is a white woman. She works in this office, but he don't shoot her. In fact, he tells her to get the fuck on, and then he proceeds to go up in her office. Now, he goes up in the office and he can see that the police are outside, right? So now it's time to do what any fuck nigga do when he done really fucked it all up. He calls his goddamn mama. Time to get on the line with Lily. Mama pick up the phone and Omar begins to tell her how he done fucked it up, right? And he like, mama, but I got all their asses. But now the shit about to get real. I know I done fucked up, but I just ain't gonna let them take me, mama. I'm sorry. I'm not going out like that. I love you, and I'm out. And so he hangs up. Now, instead of getting on the highway to hell, Omar decides he got one more call to make. He calls 911. He need to tell his side of the story. Oh yes, he was quite the chatty Cathy. I mean, he was on the line with the 911 dispatcher for the state police for damn near 5 minutes. So it went a little something like this. 911, what's your emergency? This Omar Thornton, the shooter over in Manchester. You probably want to know the reason why I shot this place up, huh? Well, damn, Omar, you just gonna get right into it. You ain't gonna tee the shit up or nothing, huh? Okay, well, let's go. So Omar says this place is a racist place and they treat me bad over here. They treat all the other black people bad over here too. So I just took it in my hands and I handled the problem. And I wish I could have got more people. Now, the 911 operator is shooketh. I mean, you clock in, but you're not expecting the killer to call in like this goddamn radio show with a comment or some shit, right? But you know, they got training or whatnot and it kicks in. And so the operator is like, you got a weapon on you now? And Omar's like, yeah, I'm strapped. And then the 911 operator was like, well, shit, how much you packing? And so Omar's like, well, you know, I got one on me and I left one out there somewhere. And so the 911 operator like, oh, you ain't bullshit, huh? And Omar like, nah, but you know I'm done. I ain't got no more smoke for nobody else. I'ma chill. So 911 was like, bet. So you planning on giving yourself up or anything like that? I mean, it's already a bad situation. We ain't got to make it worse, you know what I mean? And Omar was like, shit, the cops gonna have to come do what they do. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna do their job for them. And 911 is like, nah, my G, they gonna do you dirty. you gotta relax a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And Omar's like, shit, I'm straight. I ain't tripping. They the ones tripping. And so 911 is like, shit, if you ain't tripping, then we're going on ahead and throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And Omar's like, shit, I don't know about all that. I mean, we just talking or whatever, you know. You gonna play this shit on the TV and make a nigga infamous or whatever, you know. And then he like, oh shit, the SWAT team just rolled right by an army gear. Them motherfuckers ain't bullshitting, huh? Well, clearly, they don't know where I'm at. So let me just say that right quick before I go. You see these people here, they crazy and they treat me bad. They treated me bad from the start. It's just a racist company and they treat me bad. And I'm the only black driver they got here. And they treat me bad over here. They just treat me bad all the time. And 911 is like, word? That's horrible. I understand, my G. And Omar's like, hey man, don't play with me. You ain't gotta try to pimp me. I done told you I'm calm and I ain't gonna dead nobody else. So, you know, don't be playing with my emotions. I just called because I wanted to tell my side of the story. And y'all can play this shit back to let a motherfucker know what kind of time I was on. And so 911 was like, you right. My bad. So is you down with getting out the building with no smoke, right? You know what I'm saying? And Omar was like, well, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I got that part handled. I don't need no negotiators or no shit like that. And so 911 is like, all right, bet. Well, tell me this. Where you at in the building, Omar? And Omar was like, shit, I ain't telling you shit. They're going to have to do their job. But check it. When they find me, it's going to be all over but the shout. And so 911 keep trying to get Omar to say where he at. And Omar ain't trying to say where he at. And so, you know, 911 moves on and they ask him a few more questions like, you know, what time did you get there today, Omar? Or what kind of blicky is you packing? And Omar say, shit, they made me come in there, bitch, at 7 o'clock for this bullshit. And I got me a Ruger SR9 15 shot. And 911 is like, word? You got a rifle up in there like that? And Omar's like, nah, I got the pistol. Them white boys like them rifles. I like them pistols. So again, you know, they've been on the line for a little minute now. And so 911 is like, Omar, I guess you for real, you gonna make them do their job, huh? You ain't down with surrendering. And so Omar's like, well, maybe. Nah, I'm lying. They're gonna have to come in here and get me. Had them to pull up on me if they want me. And that was when 911 kept it a book. The operator said, no, we don't want them to do that, Omar. I mean, it's already bad. If they coming up in there, they bringing big dick energy. They see what you did, homie. Shit ain't gonna be rainbows and unicorns for your ass. And Omar's like, yeah, you probably right. It's all right, though. I guess it's got to be me. I got to take care of some business, though, right quick. Just tell my family I love them, all right? I'm out. And baby, at 8:12 a.m. on August 3rd, 2010, Omar Sharif Thornton put his 9 to his head and pulled the trigger and bust hell wide open in some beer-soaked Wranglers. Just a coward's way out. You done did all this trifling shit, and instead of facing the music, you gonna take the coward's way out. Just, it's a mess. It's a mess. But because of all the shit that he said, they did end up doing an investigation into Hartford Distributors. I mean, they talked to all of the employees, all the people that did work for them, with them, like the vendors or whatnot. And, the usual bullshit come out. I mean, because ain't no place nirvana, right? I mean, unless you work for yourself, you are bound to have some bullshit at the job. And Hartford Distributors were no different. I mean, they had about 250 employees, and they were a union company. And if you've ever worked for a union company before, that means that union rules govern everything that you do. It's in the book. If it ain't in the book, you ain't doing it. And in many cases, it's hard as fuck to fire somebody that's in a union, because them union reps and stewards, they go hard for their peoples, right? And again, seniority rules over everything. So yeah, there were some assholes that worked there. And yeah, they said that they did some stupid shit. But they do that on every job, right? And so you're either going to ignore their ass or cuss their ass out and keep it moving. Do I think that Hartford Distributors as a company was racist? No, I don't. Do I think that they might have had some racist people working there? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. But you see how they handled the thievery situation? That tells me that they were probably decent people to work for. I mean, come on now. They had everything they needed to send Omar Good's side hustling ass right onto the unemployment line. I mean, they could have even pressed charges against that ass, because, sir, you stealing cases of beer and selling that shit out the trunk. And this ain't no he said, she said shit either. Y'all, the original tip of somebody dropping a dime on Omar, it came from a woman named Lisa Jones. She saw a man unloading cases of beer from the back of his truck into a green car behind a mobile gas station on June 29th, 2010. Nigga, somebody saw you because you was all out in the open taking shit out your truck. Like, you couldn't get your folks to meet you somewhere a little bit more secluded, less eyes, less cameras around. I mean, you in Connecticut, my guy. You a black man taking shit off the back of a truck and putting it in a car. Of course Karen was gonna tell on your ass. You have to expect that. Like, what the fuck? That was just a dumb fucking move. And once Karen reported that there was a black man taking beer off the back of this truck behind a gas station, they knew exactly who it was, because duh, you the only black driver they got. And who knows how long you literally been hitting these folks up, right? I mean, I ain't knocking the hustle. I'm knocking the stupidity of it all. It's like you wanted to get caught, and get caught you did. They set your ass up. Oh, yes. Because after that tip came in, that supervisor, Lewis Felder, he put some extra cases on your truck. Because anytime you have extra cases, that shit's supposed to come back to the warehouse, right? Wrong. Omar's truck always came back empty. So they gave you enough rope to hang yourself, and you did. And then they brought a private dick in to properly fuck you. I mean, unlike Craig in the movie Friday, they could clearly see you doing the fuckery. They got you in 4K, my guy. Slow motion that thing down and everything so that you could see how many times you pulled some shit at the back of the truck and gave it to somebody. Nigga, that was you. You were caught. At least Craig could say the shit was blurry and out of focus. That could have been anybody. But not in your case. It was you. You were caught. And here's the thing that just fucks with me. You knew before they presented you with the evidence that you had been caught. Because remember, they told him the day before that you need to come in early tomorrow morning for a meeting. You had all kind of questions about the meeting. You acting all anxious and shit. You knew exactly what that meeting was going to be about. And you prepared yourself because you packed the blickies in a lunchbox to go to the goddamn meeting. How you gonna set it off when you in the wrong? Like, I know I do sometimes. I will try to find the excuse as to why a motherfucker might have done what they did. You know, something that might justify just a little bit, you know? But sir, they didn't even fire you after they showed you the evidence. They gave you the opportunity to resign, to leave with a little piece of dignity. Instead of having you handcuffed and frog marched through the plant, they was gonna just let you out the side though. Wasn't nobody even gonna see. I know motherfuckers that ain't even did half that shit and got the heave-ho out the door and didn't get that kind of courtesy. You just trifling. You got caught. And rather than just take your lumps and move the fuck on, you decided to crash out in the most outlandish, negacious way possible. Like, y'all, the sheer negacity of what this nigga did. He killed a shitload of people that ain't had shit to do with the reason why he got fired. Them folks that make you steal, hell, they didn't even tell on you. And yet, you disconnected 8 people, turned their water clean the fuck off, and attempted to disconnect 2 more. Like, that's just diabolical. And the company wasn't the problem. You were the problem. Like, I'm gonna tell you, I wouldn't just go off the word of the survivors or for that matter, any member of the Salt Gang. But y'all, we got some fellow Wakandians that dropped a dime on Omar's ass, and I believe them. Oh yeah, because Omar was not the only black employee at the company. These other employees, they gave interviews and they talked about how they felt about Omar, about what kind of worker he was. One man named Patrick, he said, quote, "I would describe Omar as being a lazy guy who you would see falling asleep while working. Me and other warehouse workers, we would jokingly tease Omar about being lazy and falling asleep, and Omar would just laugh it off. I mean, I don't know how he survived as long as he did as a delivery driver," end quote. And another black man named Tory, he said that Omar was quiet and polite, but Omar was also satisfied with only doing the bare minimum amount of work that was required of him. He never went above and beyond. Said Omar was not a team player. He only did stuff for himself. That they even had a nickname for Omar. His nickname was Slowmar. Dude, you was the problem. You wouldn't shit. And instead of facing the music for your bullshit, you took the coward's way out and deaded yourself. Yeah, you left your mama to clean up yet another mess for your selfish ass. You just tore the lives apart of 8 families forever. You fucked over your mama. I mean, she left holding the bag. Your dumbass snow bunny of a girlfriend all on the news talking about how these folks was treating you bad and everybody was racist. Bitch, if you don't shut your mouth too, this nigga wasn't shit. And it's good riddance that he gone. I mean, Lily should have swallowed and saved us all the trouble. Ugh, just a mess. But y'all know I'm always trying to find a silver lining. Some good that has to come out of tragedy. And in Connecticut, the surviving employees and the families of those who got killed, they get compensation from the State Workers' Compensation Commission. And so basically, the workers that survived, or the spouses of those that got killed, or the children of those that got killed, they get a bag. That bag is 75% of whatever that person's yearly pay was. The spouses, they get that for life unless they remarried. And the children, they get it till they turn 18 or till they graduate from college if they continue to go on to school. Now, that don't make up for losing a husband, a father, you know what I'm saying? But it does help when the breadwinner has been taken out of the game for some bullshit. I mean, that's literally like the only silver lining that I can find, that these people are not financially destitute and having to try to get it out the mud because of your stupidity. And the only other silver lining I guess just to tie this thing up with a bow. Y'all remember Christy Quayle, the old girl that got the kegs and the cases? Well, they couldn't prosecute Omar's ass for the bullshit because he killed himself. But somebody needed to have some legal ink on their ass. So they arrested Christy and her husband and charged them with larceny because, you're part of the beer bullshittery, especially considering Sean used to work for the company. So you knew what you was doing. It really didn't do nothing. It was just a slap on the wrist. They got off with probation on the fine because, the caucasticness of it all. It is what it is. Whoo, child. And that Noir Nation was the story of Omar Sharif Thornton, a.k.a. the busted Budweiser Bandit. Whoo, child. I can't wait to hear what y'all got to say about this one. So let's get into it. Melanin Mayhem podcast is on all of the socials, and you can find me on X under the name Melanin Mayhem PC. My email is also always open and receiving company. That's Melanin Mayhem podcast @gmail.com. There is a fabulous private discussion group on Facebook that I would love to have you get down with if you are not already a member. Just search Melanin Mayhem podcast discussion group, answer a few questions, and you in the club just like that. Well, this week's Noir Nation shout out goes to Von Gretchen, who left a review on Apple. Von said, "Babe, I have to give you your flowers. I don't know you, but I swear you one of my best friends now. I haven't stopped listening since I came across browsing the true crime section on Apple a couple of days ago. Thanks for telling these stories about us for us." Hey, Vaughn. Thank you so much for listening and taking the time to hit up your girl. I love my flowers, honey, and it truly warms my spirit with every comment, every review, every mention, every share, every repost. Man, I appreciate y'all. Big time. Big energy over here. Can't hardly talk, can't hardly breathe, but I appreciate you. And now y'all know all good things have got to come to an end. And I got to go do some editing because, there is a hell of a lot of coughing through this goddamn episode that I need to cut out in this heavy breathing. So I'm going to go on ahead and get on up out of here. But don't forget, y'all, this is the last couple of days before the live show this weekend, Saturday, October 18th in Atlanta for the Crime, Cocktails, and Canvases. I sure hope to see you all there. Now, until we talk again, y'all stay safe. And for goodness sake, stay vigilant at these jobs because, baby, it can go all the way down. And above all else, remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's one love, Noir Nation, and your favorite country girl is out of here. Mwah.
Woo-wee, Nana, you did that. Wow.